Drill instructors, drill sergeants of Reddit. What's the funniest thing you've seen a recruit do that you couldn't laugh at? Had two guys get in a fight in our bay during basic. Drill sergeant made them hold hands and pretending to be on a date all week. Only time they could let go of each other's hands was rack time. They ended up becoming pretty good friends. Edit. Thanks for the gold. Buddy of mine told a story when he was at basic. One guy had said yes mom to the female DS earlier in the day, so when they were all lined up, she was going down the line, asking each person if they called her mom earlier. The guy who did was fourth in line. Heard the three previous guys say no. Drill sergeant and then said in all seriousness, no mom. Edit. Thanks for my first silver. Not a drill sergeant, but when I was in basic I saw 3 drill sergeants surrounding a private who was laying down. And they were all screaming, go the duck to sleep right now private. You take a goddamn nap this very second, you poor tired soul. Not exact words, but you get the gist of it. I still wonder how he got himself into that predicament. Not many comments here, so I'll add my bit. One recruit left his training guide just lying on his rack. My lead RDC decided this was punishable by making the recruit stand in the middle of our berthing. Hold the training guide in the left hand. Salute it with the right hand. And then bring it in and gently whisper, I love you training guide. I'm sorry I left you out. I'll never leave you lying around again. That sheet was hilarious. Especially because we were all put at attention while he did it for 45 minutes. Had a soldier one time stop doing mountain climbers while we were being smoked as a platoon. DS came up and squatted down, yelling in his face why he stopped. Recruit yelled back, this soldier has made it to the top of the mountain, drill sergeant. Dude just walked away trying not to break with laughter. During FTX, the DS told me to get a trash bag, then go around and collect as many pine cones as I could. For like 3 hours. Had a bunch of trash bags. He then took a little walk around. Contemplated for a bit. Then said that he was mistaken and it looks better with pine cones. He ordered me to redistribute all the pine cones. Not me, but I had a great team SGT who had a floater, wonky eye, that he was blind in from an injury in Iraq. So one eye was dead on and worked fine, but he had this one Uncle Ruckus eye that just did its own thing. He was a very physically imposing man with that classic drill SGT bass-filled voice, and his crazy eye just added to it and he knew it. He told a story about his time as a drill SGT when 2 privates had sat down on fire watch and were kinda just being real lackadaisical about their duties when he found them. So he starts just giving them the business classic Full Metal Jacket style. And finally he just ending his rant right before he's about to smoke them for who knows how long, when one of the offending privates just says, drill SGT, are you yelling at us or the water fountain? It stopped him dead in his rage and he just walked away mid-knife hand. In the academy, one of the DIs had a recruit doing push-ups. He told the kid he was going to do push-ups for 5 minutes straight. Or something like that. As soon as the kid started, another DI approached the first DI and started arguing that the kid hadn't really ducked up that bad. And he didn't really deserve to be punished. After some back and forth, he agreed that the kid did indeed deserve to be punished. The first DI then said loudly that he had not checked his watch, so he would have to start the 5 minutes now. At that time another DI approached and started asking for mercy on the recruit, who was by now basically just humping the ground sweetly. It went on like that for a while. Good times. Had 2 guys laugh when RDC walked in, so he had them stand almost noses touching each other. One would yell, want to hear a joke, and the other would yell, ha ha ha, repeatedly for hours. It was hilarious at first, but once their voices started to crackle it got old pretty quick. Edit. Thanks for the silver is my first story from my wife while she was in BCT. They are eating chow one day early on, maybe first or second day out of reception, and they hear a drill instructor yelling, why the duck are you eating salad with a spoon ? Apparently, in reception they had been told not to bother with forks since they had 5 minutes to eat their meals. Dude wanted a salad. He decided duck it. I'm eating salad with a spoon. Hilarity ensued. Drill instructors let everyone know that not using forks is a dumb ducking rule, and whoever told them that is ducking stupid. In my basic training class I was a squad leader, which is essentially just a person who does extra chores. Anyways, for reasons unknown, myself and the other squad leaders were doing push-ups in the drill sergeant's office. Now when you do these push-ups you eventually reach muscle failure, so you just sorta hang out there in the front leaning rest and try to bust out another push-up every few seconds or so. We're all in there dying, and the drill sergeant says to one of my buddies, "Private Hudson, tell me what's the difference between basic training and being in prison?" Without missing a beat, Private Hudson says, "Drill sergeant, in prison they get to watch TV." The drill sergeant cracked a little bit of a smile and then told us to get up and get out of there. We had two 5 feet 1 inches stocky blonde guys named Johnson in our company, one cycle. Different platoons. No relation at all, but they looked really similar. One day during grass week a couple J-hats made them face each other and go back and forth screaming, "You're not Johnson." "I'm Johnson." "No. Duck you." "You're not Johnson, I'm Johnson." You have absolutely no clue how hard it was to not break into a million pieces after about 5 minutes of that. Not in boot camp, but in a school setting in the military. In formation one morning, I heard a slap and a guy held a fly or a mosquito or something. The instructor started screaming that corpsmen do not hill unless defending themselves. They're Marines or patients. He had just held a unarmed friendly and will give it a proper burial. So he made us all dig a human-sized grave while the sailor that held the fly stood there watching with dead fly in hand. We gave it a funeral and everything, without honors, and had to fill in the hole. We kinda hated that guy for a while. An RDC in another division asked the guy if he shaved that morning, and the guy claimed he had. The RDC said, "Recruit, you are either a werewolf or you are lame." "So which is it?" The guy responded, "I must be a werewolf." Petty officer. Oh shit. It's probably too late for this, but I just thought of one. I was a super light sleeper during basic training. One night I woke up for no reason. The sleeping bay was dark except for the light by the desk where the two soldiers on fire guard were supposed to be awake and alert. Both of them were leaning back in their chairs dead asleep. I started to throw my covers off to go wake them up. If a drill sergeant came through and caught the fire guard sleeping, we'd all pay. But then I heard a slow scraping sound to my right. Off in the darkness. I froze. And heard it again. Closer. A few heartbeats later I almost screamed out loud as I saw the sharp, intense face of our Samoan drill sergeant in the darkness. His face was covered in full camo. He was low crawling underneath the line of bunk beds towards the fire guard. He had a bayonet in between his teeth. We locked eyes. And he silently raised one finger to his mouth, signaling for silence. I nodded and sat back to watch the show as the drill sergeant resumed his low crawl under and past my bunk in the direction of the sleeping guards. I have a bunch of stories of funny shit I did to correct soldiers when I later became an NCO. But that image, like something straight out of an 80s war movie, will always stick with me. I work at basic training ranges, and we had a drill SGT yell at his solider while they were getting ready to go down a buddy live fire exercise. The solider froze and started crying. This 18-year-old kid was just in tears for getting yelled at. The DS yelled at him some more and he finally gave up cause this kid wouldn't stop crying. So he made him scoop tears off his face and put them in his pockets till he filled his pockets up with tears. He did this for like an hour. It was hilarious. Not a drill instructor. But when I was going through basic, it was one trainee's birthday when we went to the gas chamber for experience of the crowd control gas. This trainee happened to be Jewish. So first thing in the morning when we have the little huddle about what's going to happen that day, the TI asks if there are any questions. Trainee Goldberg, not his real name, but this dude was built like Goldberg, raises his hand and says, "Sir, don't you think it's a little ducked up to send a Jew to the gas chamber on his birthday?" And everyone busted up laughing, including our TI. But the story doesn't end there. We go to the dining facility for breakfast. And as he's going through the line, our TI yells out, "Trainee Goldberg, why don't you tell the other TIs what you told me this morning?" With a straight face, Trainee Goldberg says, "Oh, I was just telling our TI how it's pretty ducked up the Air Force is sending a Jew to the gas chamber on his birthday." All the TIs at the long table just fell silent, almost scared. And our TI just busted up laughing so hard that all the trainees stopped. Trainee Goldberg, despite being 6 feet 2 inches and solid muscle, was perhaps the funniest guy in our flight. He owns a few gyms now in his home state. Awesome guy. When I was in boot camp, our drill instructor had a recruit sit in front of his own reflection, stainless steel panel, and continually ask himself if he really wanted to be here for 3 ducking hours. All while screaming at him to mean it, and "I don't believe you." I don't know how they didn't crack up. Was hilarious. A story from my perspective as a recruit in Navy boot camp. We had an inspection the following day. So our chief was going around inspecting inside everyone's rack to make sure it was squared away. Eventually he made it over to my section. He was checking the rack, bunk bed that opens up, beside me, and had it propped open so I couldn't see his face and kind of forgot he was there. He's searching through this guy's stuff and sees his small gloves. And he asks, "You know what they say about small gloves now? Keep in my mind, I don't think any of my RDCs heard me talk until this point." And I said without any hesitation, "I know that's not true. I wear a size 12 boot, but I can tell you right now I don't have a size 12 big dig." And my chief slammed the rack shut and looked at me. What the duck? He then stormed off into the fishbowl, and all you could hear was him trying to hold back his laughter in the office with the 2 petty officers. Ha 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 ha. I'll never forget this one. Whenever a recruit would bust ass, we would make them turn on the vacuum cleaner, which meant we would yell, "Who the duck just sheet themselves? This recruit is attempting to attack our olfactory sense. Platoon, turn on the vacuum," which would be followed by, "Turn on the vacuum, aye sir." And then all the recruits would suck in through their mouth as hard as they could. However, one time, we had a recruit who immediately answered, when we asked to sheet themselves, that this recruit sheet himself, sir. Turns out Recruit Jones sheet himself during a late night drill session in 3rd phase. By then recruits are disciplined and almost always put the mission first, even if that mission is just executing left face. March. Without asking to go to the head. Poor kid sat in his own sheet for almost 2 hours. We had a recruit who couldn't drill to save his life. The hill had made him about face for about 45 minutes. Over and over and over. It was hilarious. I have 2. We had a recruit night who just couldn't do anything right. He couldn't even put on chemi paint. So we were out in the field and our DIs had him completely black his face with it. I'm talking his ears, inside his nose, even his lips. Then they made him walk around with another recruit whose name was also Night and happened to be black and point at him while saying, "Recruit Night is as black as night." I saw quite a few other DIs chuckle at that. Then on our last day before graduation, our Jihad came in and told us we were our Hill Hat's first actual platoon as a DI, and he was going to wake us up on the morning of graduation. So he hatched the plan, and that morning when the Hill Hat came out and screamed "Get online," we all ran to the end of our tracks, but half of the squad bay was wearing togas and the other half was butt as naked. He basically did a double take and busted out laughing. And then we all did push-ups for about 10 minutes. When getting to the depot, you get rid of all personal items aside from your wallet, phone book, glasses, and religious items. It was 2nd phase and we were drilling on the parade deck. We finish and are marching back to the house when our DI catches someone smiling. He says, "Oh good, something's funny, empty out your pockets." Recruit empties his pocket contents, a pen, knowledge card, and lo and behold he has a dollar bill. Our DI was dumbfounded and asked, "Why the duck do you have money? You going to a titty bar after this?" The recruit responded with, "I heard we get to use the vending machine if we do well."